Greetings, hello, welcome on in, Unoptimized Fool from the closet. Glad you could be here. Listen, I want to talk about housing. Now, we've been promised housing in midnight, and we just got a big, giant info dump here recently, and I want to talk about that, right? I have this notebook here that has all the great points that I want to talk about and kind of my opinion, and also to inform you guys, if you guys weren't aware, that we just got. I mean, it's not a huge deep dive. We didn't get, gameplay footage, right? We got some concept art and information, but it's a nice entry in, and eventually we'll be probably getting some gameplay here soon, hopefully, right? So again, housing is coming in midnight if you live under a rock, right? And it's going to be amazing. Now, the first piece of information, they said that they want to make housing a communal experience, right? Now, obviously, this is just being said because everyone was like, oh, is this going to be Garrisons 2.0? And remember, guys, we were all alone in our garrisons. We had our NPCs and no one else. Now, obviously, this system is going to be communal-based, right? And I'll get into more information there. So already 10 times better than Garrisons, where you're super alone in an MMO. Again, Garrisons were cool, but being antisocial in an MMO was so strange that I think it never really recovered the image of Warlords of Draenor. Now, at launch, there are 2 zones. So this is there's a couple things in here I want to talk about. 2 zones at launch, meaning 2 zones of where these the housing will be. But that means, one, they have future plans on making more zones, because they said 2 zones at launch, meaning, usually they just say, oh, if there was only 2 zones, like, oh, there's going to be 2 zones. Oh, we have 2 zones at launch. Now they're going to have a Horde zone and an Alliance zone, right? So obviously, now it looks like we got concept art of a Horde zone. Looks like it's going to be right outside of Orgmajar. I can't pronounce that word. I think that's how you say it. Again, ever since I started playing, I cannot pronounce that. It's going to be in Doritar. There it is. I think that's the way you say it as well, too. And so it looks like it's not going to be in the newer zones of Midnight. It's going to be in the old world, right? Now, we don't know. We know a little bit about the Alliance side. It looks like it's going to be mostly a human architecture. It might be probably outside of Stormwind, inside of Elwynn Forest, right? That's my assumption, but we don't know yet. That's an assumption, though, because obviously we have, Doritar, maybe Elwynn Forest is kind of the equivalent for the Alliance, right? Now, obviously, we're going to be going to the old world to go to our housing, which gives, more prevalence to the old world, which I love. Again, I always say the old world's abandoned and, not used, but eventually they'll probably add more zones, which is cool. So I would love to see how that's incorporated. Now, they did say, again, I made a video about this yesterday, saying a smaller selection is available in the cash shop. Again, I've covered that, but again, it's only a small selection, so at least it could be worse, right? But I have a whole video dedicated to that topic. Definitely check it out. Now, they say that houses are grouped into neighborhoods, right? So obviously of about 50 plots, right? So there'll be 50 plots in the neighborhoods, right? So obviously it's going to be instance. You can't just have, 1,050 plot zones everywhere. The whole world would be just housing, right? So they're instance, right, in one location, but you'll be having 49 other players in those areas, which is awesome, right? And the key part of this is neighborhoods are instance, but persistent. Now, they give 2 options. One, you can do a public one with 49 other persistent players, or a community one, guild-based one that you can build with your guild. Now, I'm super excited about the persistent part, meaning that every time you go into an instance, wherever your house is, you'll always have the same neighbors. Now, when I originally started playing Fallout, I always wanted a multiplayer Fallout, and when Fallout 76 was announced, I was excited. There was trading, there was PvP, and I was excited for, building up communities inside the Fallout universe, and to create factions. Well, they didn't have it persistent. Every time you joined a server, it would be a random server. Now they have some paid service, but the public servers are random people every time, and that persistence really killed it off. You knew no one, you didn't know the personalities, you didn't have good deals for trading with everyone. But here it's persistent. That means every time you log on, Larry will always be your neighbor, and you can see Larry build his house and then see Jane build her house, right? So it's a good way to keep a community, and maybe even have a public community where you have a guild and also a neighborhood watch, basically, right? So I love this so far. I mean, all the information we've gotten so far is great, minus the in-game shop. Again, it doesn't really affect much, but I just don't like the shop being in every mechanic that we know. Because, again, we just recently saw the mount that has you know, a paid auction house, paid mailbox, pay repair. Again, I'm not liking the intertwinement of the in-game shop with everything, and housing is not even out yet. But again, I had a separate video for that. But I wanted to give this information out. I think, you know, we know where the one neighborhood will definitely be inside of, like, you know, orc territory, and then, you know, obviously human architecture is going to be involved with the Alliance side, but we can make some assumptions that it might be Elwyn Forest for the Alliance. Now, I'm just happy that there's 2 zones at start, right? Obviously, they'll probably expand this as time goes on. Maybe we can have, like, sub-towns. Again, I'm not sure how that's going to affect on how you build up your neighborhoods. Maybe you can transfer your house somewhere. I don't know. Again, not a deep dive, but definitely more information than we had before. But I've been here for too long, guys. Unoptimized Fool from the closet. Glad you could be here. Let me know what you think about this information, and hopefully we get some more soon. See you guys later.